it always makes me laugh how the areas that we're called the most to, often we have to be the guinea pig. We have to be the person that God's gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna do the work in you, so then you can. It's kind of like, I mean, it makes sense even from a worldly standpoint. If you're like, if you're gonna be a financial advisor, it's probably a good idea to be good with your money and then help other people, right? So,
Right.
or if you're like, you don't want to be 800 pounds and teaching people how to lose weight, so the same applies to things of the spirit. And that's why it just is making me chuckle, because one of the things that my wife and I are really big on is encouragement to other people, and faith. And those are the two areas that we have been tried in probably the most. And
Right.
so having to be very discouraged and having to, not feel like we're being encouraged, and then having to go through that. So it's interesting to see that God is, that's very much been modeled in your life as well, with even just deliverance, and even, bad ideologies within yourself, as a strong woman, and what that means according to the world versus what that means according to the Lord, and being holy. So I think it's great. I don't know. Have you had moments of like where your flesh wanted to kick in and be like, gosh, I got things to do. I get into it's late, or have there been moments where you've had to die to that?
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
over and over and over
Mhm.
again. I will
Mhm.
tell you, walking in, deliverance was the first thing that the Lord took us to. And so, it learned, well, actually prophetic, like
Mhm.
what does it mean to be baptized in the Holy Spirit? What does
Mhm.
that mean to hear the voice of God? What does that mean, and all of that? Those were the first things. But then when we were sent out into deliverance, let me tell you, there are some serious learning lessons that you
Mhm.
get by walking in obedience to him, but then wanting to do it in your own strength. I actually had a memory. God sent us to a local town and we were at someone's house. And I remember laying hands on this girl and she was not getting free. And
Hmm.
I literally got up and I walked away in the hallway and I grabbed my hair and I was like, Lord, I don't understand. And he showed me, you're trying to do it in your own strength. You're
Wow.
doing what you know, and you weren't letting me do it. And you want to talk about humbling moments.
Right.
And I find it better to be corrected by the Father than be corrected by man. And so I would
Yeah, I
much
agree.
rather, yeah,
I
I would
agree.
much rather, yeah, totally. So that, and we've had many moments like that. We've had many heartbreaking moments where, we prayed for somebody and we fully believed that they would be healed and they passed away. And
Mm.
so even those were, I mean, moments that you would cry and just say, Lord, I don't understand what that is. And so, you read scriptures and when people hear healing, they automatically go to miracle. And that was us. Like we had to learn over the last 3.5 years, what does healing look like?
Mm.
What does it mean? Even for myself, like I remember running to the front and running to the front and running to the front. I went, this hurts, that hurts, this is, and God was showing me emotionally how physically my body would be healed when my soul is healed. So it's even
Yeah,
things like that where
that's a big deal.
that's a huge deal because you're
Mhm.
expecting, we live in this microwave society. I need to heat up my coffee. I put it in for 30 seconds. Bang, I got my coffee. I'm drinking and it's good.
Right? Yeah.
And we look at God in the same way. So we've learned a lot in ministry in the last 3.5 years that we want too much too fast. We want it our way. We don't want it his way. We don't want to go through the refining process. We don't want to go through the pruning. Some of those, I tell people my pruning wasn't just any pruning. My pruning was a legit like chainsaw. It wasn't like, here, he's going to come and snip me. The Lord legitimately came at me with a chainsaw and was like, this is coming off. This is what we're doing. And that's kind of what happened while we've been, kind of hidden and only taken out on certain assignments and things for as long as we have, is
Mhm.
those chainsaw moments, those humbling moments where you're like, do you get in your way? Yes, you get in your way a lot. And even
Yeah,
when
all
you're
the
doing
time. Yeah.
all the time, like, I don't
Yeah.
know if it ever really stops that you get in your way, but it is one of those things where you become more and more humble and more surrendered to whatever it is
Yeah.
that he
Well,
wants
and
you to
I
do.
think too, there can be I'm definitely an extrovert, definitely outgoing. And sometimes I think for me, and I would venture a guess that you too, is sometimes I find myself in these places of like just my personality and my tendency sometimes I can get ahead of myself. Whereas like somebody who's maybe more reserved, God is wanting them to step out more. Whereas for me, I'm like, I don't have a problem doing that. Like, let's do this, and
Right.
sometimes God is like, hey, I want you to listen. I want you to not talk as much. I'm like, oh, that's very difficult, God. So yeah,
100.
yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
I'm the same way. I'm such a teacher.
Mm,
And I have learned that, like, my husband has been a really good helper with me,
mm,
with that. Like, I mean, even in just learning in communication in marriage, he's like, I don't need to be taught.
mm.
And that was one thing where I had to learn to like, it's funny because the Lord actually used my husband to teach me how to shh
Oh man.
on it, and I will hear it in the spirit, shh,
Mm,
and I'll go, oh, okay, I'll be
yeah.
quiet. Because I'm such a teacher and a talker
Mm,
that I have needed to learn to listen. And the Lord has said to me, you have that saying where you have two ears and one mouth.
yeah.
He's like, yeah, that's said, babe, for a reason. So
Yeah.
I've had to really learn to listen. And now I have, I still struggle in this area. Not that I have that down pat,
Well,
but
we're human. Come on,
right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so I do now I can see I sit in a crowd more and I allow my spiritual eyes and spiritual ears to be open. So I ask the Lord, like, if there's anything I need to know, I'll ask him, may I see in the spirit today? Like, can you open
Mm,
the veil for me?
that's
May
great.
I hear your word today? If you have anything to say to this person or whatever, because sometimes you're just sent, like you can hear somebody's hurt and you're just sent into an arena. And I'm like, what do you want me to do about that? And he's like, nothing right now, just
Mm,
listen. And then
wow.
he downloads it and he helps me to remember that. So when the time comes when he puts me in front of somebody, then I can speak. But if I'm talking, I'm going to miss or mess up the opportunity. And
Right.
so that
Yeah.
was something you said, get ahead of yourself. There are
Mhm.
many times that I've spoken way too much and people have been like, yeah, I'm not, I
Yeah.
be like, I
Yeah.
ain't trying to hang out with that girl.
Yeah.
She's a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Well, I can definitely relate, Shannon. I can definitely relate.